So I'm back on the Pontcysyllte Aqueduct. We're not here for this though. Let's see what's up ahead. I'm in Wales, so this does mean, I apologise in advance, this is going to be another video where I pronounce every word completely wrong, even worse than my English videos. So we are on the Llangollen Canal, there's the first one, and we are going up to the Pontcysyllte Aqueduct, probably a second one as well. And this behind me here is the winding hole. Now this is the end of the canal, kind of on land, before it starts going out to a massive embankment ahead of us, which leads out to the Pontcysyllte Aqueduct. Now, without this embankment, which is ahead of us here, this would have been a huge aqueduct, twice as long as it is now. And this took a massive team of navvies to build this, to enable this canal to happen. It was one of the massive engineering feats of this canal, other than the aqueducts. There's no locks on this for quite some way, over valleys and everything. You've got the Chirk Aqueduct, you've got obviously the Pontcysyllte, and then it follows the contour of the land round to Llangollen. This building right here was part of that. And this was it was the Sunday school and evening school, I believe, for the navvies, where they could go in and do all their learning. So the navvies, if you don't know, were basically the canal builders of the time, and they came largely from Ireland, but they did come from all over the place a little bit, and they would set up massive camps, and they would all stay in an area and they would just work and work and work. It was a very dangerous job building a canal at the time, and lots of people died and stuff like that as well. So to be able to offer them education when they were here was a major thing. So why am I here? I've already done a video on this aqueduct, but I want to do a video on the canal as it goes through to Llangollen and the area up through there. There's a really epic bit of engineering that kept this canal going and wasn't supposed to be what it is. Every so often there's a break in the trees and you can just see quite how high this embankment is. That's a house down there and there's towers above it. And that's no small feat for a canal, because a canal, unlike a railway embankment, has to have the weight of the water on it as well. Where a railway, although it has to carry the weight of the trains and that go down it, you know, the actual tracks themselves don't weigh a great deal, but the weight of water is a constant weight bearing down on the embankment. And here we are, the Pontcysyllte Aqueduct, and this is the other side. So I've walked down the wrong side of the towpath, so I'm just coming underneath here to come back across. Now, I did a huge video on this sort of Christmas time, so please do look in the description where I'll link the video, and that's got quite a lot of information about it, so I'm not going to go too hard into stuff today. And we are on, this is the highest navigable aqueduct in the world, and it's the longest in Britain, and it's an absolute monster. The original plan was to go up and down with locks into the River Dee, but William Jessop was the engineer, and Thomas Telford came along with his new ideas and talked him out of it and built this unbelievable structure instead. So there are 18 arches in total, and this cast iron trough sits on top of it, and this carries the water across. It's about 4 foot deep, and this towpath actually extends across and is got kind of some angled pieces which hold it in place. This was emptied over sort of Christmas and New Year, and normally what they would do is right here there's a little grate, you can see there's a little bit there, and you can pull that out with the right tools, of course, don't do it, and that empties down into the River Dee below. They didn't do it this time though because environmental concerns, so instead they put stop planks on each end and they pumped it out. I'm not too sure how they diverted the river flow through, and we get into how that's quite a major thing towards the end of this video. We took a little boat trip. I'm on holiday at the moment with my wife and kids, and we brought them across here on the Anglo-Welsh holidays, which operate from in front of us, and they do sort of day trips and boat hire and all sorts. So you can just hire a boat for a day. I think it's about 120 quid, or you can go across on one of their trip boats. They've got various different length trips going from the basin just up ahead of us, and it was quite an experience coming along this side down through there and looking over that edge. So this canal was originally the Ellesmere Canal, and the plan was to run it to Ellesmere Port, which picked up other canals. Now, the port was named after the town it was running to for the canal network, and that was where the company had all their sort of headquarters and stuff. And the plan was to carry on up ahead of us and go to Wrexham and then up through that way. And there was going to be a reservoir there, and that reservoir was going to be a feeder for this canal. But they ran out of money when they got to here. They built these impressive aqueducts behind us and then ran out of money, so they stopped. And instead, the canal turned underneath the bridge just there. This is the Llangollen branch of the canal. And one thing you're going to notice very quickly is just how narrow it is. And this was done on purpose. This wasn't an accident. This never was in the plans to be a canal. And now we've taken a big jump across the Llangollen. We've got about 4 miles of canal behind us to where we just were at the junction. There's sort of bits and pieces down there and bridges and lots of pretty areas, but it's not what this video is about. So first thing we come across are these houses here. This was only ever a feeder. So this canal is very, very narrow. And this is probably one of the more picturesque spots on the canal network. It's actually better coming from this way, so I'll turn around in a second. And you've got this incredibly narrow section of canal here which runs right up through to the wharf, and most of it is like this, to be honest with you. And you can just imagine a boat just squeezing through here. It only just allows the width of that boat through, and you've got this beautiful mock castle house above us here as well. And this leads down to the really, really pretty town of Llangollen, after the canal was named. And if you look down through this gap here, you'll start to see the River Dee, and just behind that big white building there is the Llangollen Railway. So this is a fantastic Llangollen Railway, and there's a train just about to leave. So this was a very popular spot even back in the 1840s, and the Chester line had just been completed, so long story short, they planned a route across to here. There was already a stop, but it was kind of near to Pontcysyllte Aqueduct, and the station up there was a little halt just sort of north of White House Tunnel, and there was a lot of commercial traffic needed down through here, so they decided to build one. So there were quite a few schemes proposed, and it was not until 1st of August 1859 that Henry Robinson received the royal assent for the 5¼ mile stretch of the Vale of Llangollen Railway. The line closed in the 60s on the Beeching Cuts, and then various different schemes were proposed to restore a railway through here by the Flint and Deeside Railway Preservation Society, which was founded in 1972. They originally wanted to use the Prescotton line, but they moved to this line instead because of the local council granted a lease for this railway station and buildings. The council were on board because they wanted to bring more tourism to the area. And in September 1975, the station opened with just 60 feet of track. So with the coming of the railway, the canal was largely useless for goods, and the canal needed another life. And it was in 1869 a local newspaper observed that a very neat and long pleasure boat sometimes visited Llangollen Wharf, which is just up ahead of us, from Pontcysyllte in the evenings, and suggested that a town would benefit if similar boats could be hired here. So horse-drawn boat trips were introduced in 1884 by Captain Samuel Jones, who had previously sailed the globe. He started with 2 lifeboats from a liner docked to Liverpool. He entertained canal day trippers with stories from his seafaring days, which included going to the Americas, Australia and Singapore. By 1887 he was running boat trips to Chirk, refreshments served on board, as well as short trips to Berwyn. He unfortunately passed away in 1908. In 1910 the business was run by Isaac Roberts. He named some of the boats after glamorous ocean liners, including the Mauritania. He also named the new large boat after the Titanic. That was currently still under construction in Belfast at the time, which was probably not the best idea. But the boat trips still run to this day from the wharf. It's a lovely day out, as you can see. But let's jump back onto the Llangollen Railway now and go to the next stop. So this is Berwyn station, and this was the next bit of the line to be opened. The railway attracted a lot of interest from local private companies, and the council renewed the lease for 21 years for the land for the railway. They also donated a significant amount of the track, allowing this extension. It involved a £30,000 refurb of the bridge we're going across as well, which is on the station, and the first trains operated on the extended 1.75 mile kilometre line in March 1986. This really is a beautiful spot here. And when this was extended, this allowed the railway then to carry on and go through the tunnel at Berwyn Tunnel, and eventually reach Deeside Halt in 1990, Glennyfudry in 1993, and finally to Carrick on the 2nd of May 1996. Have a listen to this amazing engine as it echoes down through this valley. And just down here we've got the chain bridge and the hotel, which is right next to it. So let's have a little jump down there. And as we drop down into this absolutely beautiful valley, you've got the chain bridge. Now this is the third of the chain bridges. The current bridge was built by Sir Henry Bayer Robertson following the destruction of the previous second chain bridge during severe flooding. The first bridge was built in 1817 by local entrepreneur Exeter Pickering to transport coal, and that took it from the A5 just above us by the station across between the Llangollen Railway and the Canal. Look at this. So that's the viaduct just over there in the distance. That carries the railway, and you've got the road bridge lower down, and then this is the Chain Bridge Hotel, which is an absolutely cracking spot to sit and have some snacks. I'm sat just over there with my family, and we've got this amazing view behind us. So the bridge itself allowed Pickering to bypass the toll roads around the area. It was completed in 1818 after gaining permission in 1814. Henry Robertson built the second of the bridges in 1876 using existing chains from the first bridge. But in 1928 there was severe flooding down in this valley. And if you look down below us, for this bridge to be about 4 foot underwater, you can imagine the absolute destruction it caused down through here. It was caused by floodwaters and partial damming caused by trees falling. And it was in 1929 Sir Henry organised for the chains and stuff to be recovered from the river, and then it was rebuilt. It was also restored and reopened in 2015. So just over here is Llangollen Canal, so we'll jump back onto the canal now. You can just see the chains coming out here of the bridgelet. So it comes across the back of this building here, which is the Chain Bridge Hotel. This is the canal to the side of us here, and this leads up to the place where all this water comes from. So as you can see, this is quite narrow now. It's quite overgrown. This is no longer a canal. So why is this still here? Got the road bridge we could see over the river here. So why does this carry on going? What is its purpose? So with the water supply lost because of the cancellation of the canal to go up to Ellesmere port, they no longer had the reservoir up near Wrexham that was going to feed this canal. So they had to find an alternative water source to feed this canal and the network and the locks further down on it. So up ahead here we have the answer. This is a water metering hut, and as you can see the water coming down through here is pretty fast. That's because on average about 6 million gallons of water per day is sent through here at its peak. And it took 13.7 million gallons in one day. But where do you get 13.7 million gallons of water a day and keep up that pace? The answer is just over here. And this up ahead is the incredible Horseshoe Falls. And this is the entrance to the channel, which largely feeds the canal network at this end of the country. So William Jessop and Thomas Telford, who was chief engineer from 1804 to 1806, designed this 460 feet long, 1.2 metre high vertical face, which raised the river level behind it, allowing water to run down this side channel here into the meter house and feed the canal network and feed the reservoir further down. So the weir was an important factor in keeping the canal. When the Shropshire Union owners of London, Midland and Scottish Railway decided to close much of the network in 1944. With such a major source of water, it was retained purely as a water supply channel. This allowed the canal to survive until British Waterways took over in 1948. Since 2009, the weir has been part of the World Heritage Site, which covers 11 miles of the Llangollen Canal from Horseshoe Falls to the Pontcysyllte Aqueduct, and that was given because of the bold engineering solutions needed to get the canal through this area without any locks. And here we are at Corwen Station. So this is the end of the line now. Work started to bring the next 2.5 miles of the line up to here in 2011. First stage of it was completed in 2014. The official opening was in March 2015. The final stage ran to a new station at Corwen with permanent facilities, which is obviously where we are now, and there's also a running loop as well, so you can turn the trains around. There was another old line that came down through there and joined here, so this is the turning part of the tracks now here. So the track would have carried on down here and gone to the original Corwen station, then carried on down. There's not much hope of restoring the line further down from here, because most of it's been built on and not safeguarded for future renewal for the Heritage Railway. An amazing piece of infrastructure. And I'm going to leave that one here, so thanks for watching, have a great day.